Welcome to the Private Practice Elevation Podcast. Unlike other shows about marketing and growing a private practice, only the Private Practice Elevation Podcast takes you into the peaks and valleys of successful practice owners to give you the lessons they learned and the proven strategies that you can apply to your own private practice, helping you reach the next level in your business. I'm your host, Daniel Fava. If you've ever felt like the answer to growing your practice is just to get more clients, I want to challenge that idea today. Because chasing more clients is exactly how a lot of therapists end up exhausted, overbooked, and stuck trading time for money with no real way out. In this episode, I'm talking with Jenny Melrose about why more clients isn't the answer and what you can focus on instead. Jenny helps therapists take all the psychoeducation they're already teaching in session, the stuff they explain over and over again, and turn it into products and services they can sell without adding another hour to their week. Things like courses, workbooks, journals, group intensives, resources that serve more people without burning you out. We get into how to niche down so the right clients actually find you, how to figure out what your first digital offer should be, and why your email list matters way more than your social media following. If you've been feeling stretched thin, wondering if there's another way to grow your practice, this one's for you. But first, let's hear about our sponsors. Xanda is practice management software built for health practitioners. It brings scheduling, telehealth, secure notes, billing, AI, and automation together in one simple system. If you're ready to make your practice management easier, visit privatepracticeelevation.com/Xanda and start your free trial today. A year from today, what would your dream private practice look like? Would you spend less time chasing claims or only working with clients who value your skill set? What if you had more time for yourself? Alma empowers you to confidently accept insurance backed by an all-in-one EHR that simplifies scheduling, documentation, and day-to-day practice operations. Your dream practice is closer than you think. To learn more about Alma and receive 2 free months, visit helloalma.com/elevation. All right. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. Daniel here, another episode coming to you, and another great week this week happening. Feeling busy, to be honest, a little overwhelmed at times, but it's good stuff. It's, the school season kind of winding down, coming to an end, and it's my boys who are 9 and 5, and just lots of energy there, obviously private practice elevation, and it's been busy in a good way, and just for me, I think that I'm walking through a lot of like good challenges. Like right now, it's how do we continue to grow our SEO services, or the team that does SEO. And so we're actually currently looking for, at this time, a SEO client success manager to really oversee our SEO team and the work that we're doing, and make sure that communication continues to just flow, because we've grown a lot, and SEO and now AIO is really growing. I know a lot of you are concerned with the drop off of traffic or new leads coming from your website, and a lot of that is the shift in the landscape. So we're getting more clients, but more clients, and this really kind of goes along with today's episode, more clients isn't always the answer. And especially for me, like I hate seeing when balls get dropped, or if we have too many clients that we can't serve our current ones, and that's not helpful to anybody. So we're looking to make sure that our processes are great, that we have communication internally, but then also that our clients know what's going on, and when to approve blog posts, or what we're working on, that sort of thing. So for somebody to help with that. Other than that, this time of year on the podcast, you're always going to hear me talking about NHL playoffs are underway. New York Rangers did not make the playoffs this year, which kind of stinks, but they've been doing a lot of work to fix their broken team, so I guess that's good. So my wife is from Tampa, so if Tampa's in the playoffs, we're always cheering for them, and they lost last night, so they are down 3-2, so we'll see what happens on Friday. But every year, my boys get a little bit more into watching hockey and the playoffs, and start rooting for teams, and so they're excited. Last night, my 5-year-old, we found in the attic a hand-me-down shirt, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and so he was excited to wear that. So he wore that last night and got to watch a little bit of the game before bed. And so it's just fun times. It's fun to see them get excited and get into hockey because that's my love. That's my sport. So excited about today's episode and our conversation. So we are talking with Jenny Melrose. So Jenny Melrose helps entrepreneurs stop spinning their wheels and start building profitable, sustainable businesses. As the host of the Practice to Profit podcast, she teaches business owners how to shift from busy work to strategic action using clear plans, simple metrics, and CEO level decision making. Her work focuses on turning effort into results without overwhelm or hustle culture. So this was a great conversation because in this conversation, we're going to get a little bit creative in like how can you serve your therapy clients beyond that one-to-one session that you have with folks. This is especially helpful for those of you who are feeling maybe a little bit burnt out, or you're just looking for ways to just support the work that you do, So I hope that this is going to inspire you. It inspired me, and just for different things that I want to do in my own business to provide resources that are beyond just the websites we build, because you have an expertise, you have so much education, so much that you can teach your ideal clients. And so it's a great way to serve beyond therapy and to grow an audience and create some sustainability of revenue and leads in your business. So here is my conversation with Jenny Melrose. Hello, Jenny, and welcome to the Private Practice Elevation podcast. How are you doing today?
Very good. Thank you, Daniel. I'm excited about this conversation. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. One of my favorite things is meeting new people, and this podcast is is a great platform for that. So, excited about what you're doing, what I've seen through the content that you are creating. So I know it's going to be a great conversation. And so why don't we just start for folks who don't know you, Jenny, tell us a little bit more about, first of all, what is it that you do to help therapists and private practices? And then tell us a little bit of your story. How did you start doing what you're doing now, and give us some history behind it all?
Of course. So I help therapists go from overwhelmed and feeling like they have to continually be in their practice, trading time for money. And I teach them how to take the questions that they're continually being asked or the psychoeducation that they're continually teaching and turn it into a digital product or service that they can passively sell and market to their audiences. It started off because I don't have my background in therapy. I was supposed to go and get my master's in social work and put it off because it was very unknown at that time what the degree was going to look like. And I didn't have the best guidance. And I ended up getting my master's in education instead. So I'm a former inner city school district teacher. And I always
Cool.
tell people I'm used to dodging chairs. So I'm happy to always answer any sort of questions adults have to ask. But yes, so I'm taught for 9 years, and at the same time, I created a food blog back in 2010. So I have been online for 16 years. It's been a very, very long time. It was well before Instagram even existed. So because of that, I kind of understand the algorithms, the marketing that has to go into that. And I sold that food blog back in 2019 because I found myself continually being asked, was I able to do this? How's the marketing work? How can I continue to grow passively their own
Yeah.
businesses?
Yeah.
So I kind of stepped into this Jenny Melrose side of my business. I have the Practice to Profit podcast as well, and utilize that to really help those that want to figure out ways that they can grow their revenue without having to work more hours.
Yeah. Huh. I love it. I'm very curious about the food blog era, and like what was the marketing like back then? I'm my mind at that time, trying to think back for myself. I started my business in 2016.
Okay.
Was it Pinterest a big thing for you when it came to promotion of the food blog?
So Pinterest, when I first started, didn't exist either.
Okay. Yeah.
It was pretty much back when the dinosaurs roamed the internet is what it equated to. But Pinterest came along probably about a year later or so
Mhm.
after I had been online, and that was definitely a marketable place to go. Keyword research as
Yeah.
we learned more about it. Once Instagram, Facebook, of course, was also a huge piece of it, as it
Mhm.
still continues to be for many
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and growing an email list, of course,
Yeah.
too.
Yep, of course. Yeah, I just loved Pinterest kinda, like, back in that time, just, like, for, like, personal, projects and recipes and stuff like that, so when I
Mhm.
started my own business in 2016, I kinda went there and used Pinterest actually pretty heavily to market my own blog, and got a lot of traffic and just a lot of visibility through Pinterest, and, it's since has shifted a little bit more, but, yeah, it was good times.
Yes. No, absolutely.
Cool. Well, let's get into our topic today. So, when before we, whenever I meet with somebody, like let's potentially have you on the show. Like, what are some things that you would love to discuss? And so, one of the topics you mentioned is why more clients isn't the answer, and what to focus on instead. And so, that really just piqued my interest because in my own business, in my own audience building and all that, sometimes I can fall into that as well. It was just like, oh, we need more clients. That's the way to grow. The way to grow is
Mhm.
just to get more clients. So why is this topic important? Like, let's start at sort of the beginning here. Why is it important to talk about why maybe more clients isn't the answer?
Well, I think stems from the fact that I watched a lot of my therapy clients come to me because they were exhausted. They
Hmm.
would be coming home from work and just going straight to bed. It was difficult to be a part, take care of their families outside of the practice.
Yeah.
And because of that, we were looking for ways to be able to have income coming in that didn't require them to sit in the therapy room. My therapists are so well educated. They
Hmm.
are brilliant and they
Yeah.
know their information and the content and the psychoeducation. So it was really just starting to try to peel back to figure out, okay, what is your expertise in? Who are the people that you love to work with if you're in a practice where you're seeing all different types of clients so that we could really figure out what is the product? And then from there, the marketing that had to go into to drawing those people in so that, of course, they could continue to grow their audience and invite people to purchase their product or service.
Yeah. And where do you kind of start when you're like seeing that, like somebody's coming to you and they're like, I'm totally burnt out, I'm exhausted. Like, where's the first place you start when you see that situation to kind of like help them dig out of that? Because I
Uh,
assume it's not as simple as just like you do one thing. That's probably going to take a little bit of time to kind of get structures in place. But where do you start?
Yes. I think the first question I always ask is who is it that you're trying to attract? Who are the people that are already coming into your practice? Do
Hmm.
you get energy from working from with them or are they draining you? Are you niche specific? The therapists that that come to me that are already niche specific, that let's say, for example, they work specifically with officers and their wives, and that's what they're known for. That's much simpler than someone that's very broad and works with grief, but also works with depression, which also works with ADHD and likes to
Yeah.
work with someone that's 60, but also likes to work with someone that's 30. When it comes to creating that product or service that passively, you have to niche. You got to get really, really specific on
Yeah.
who the ideal audience is because you want to be able to be very specific about the marketing that you're putting out there. So the
Hmm.
more niche you can be, the better off. And that's absolutely where we start. And then from there, once they know the niche, they know the audience, who they're talking to, I start to ask the questions of what are you routinely getting asked? What are they always coming to you for? And what's the psychoeducation that you have to teach them time and time again?
Yeah.
And then it becomes much simpler.
Yeah, I think that could also really start energizing as you get, a little bit more clarity on those
Mhm.
aspects of, who do I love to work with?
Yes. Yes, because you can stay in that lane and be able to provide them with the
Mhm.
education that you know that they need. I
Yeah.
think what one of the main reasons I love working with therapists is that they have this piece of them that is so ethical. as well as the biggest hearts. And all they want to do is to be able to help people. And
Yeah.
what they don't realize is that by staying just in the therapy room, you're limited. There's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
When you can actually create something that can be sold while you sleep, your ability to be able to impact so many more people just
Yeah.
10x's.
Yeah, absolutely. And that can then decrease that burnout, obviously. I can kind of see where we're going here.
Yes.
And I also too just want to kind of go back to what you said about, niching down, finding those specific clients you love and like what do you help them with? And that is also like in our world in private practice elevation, with website building and search engine optimization as well, we see the same thing. When
Yep.
somebody is very specific about who they help and what they help them with, you can start building that trust and that expertise on their website with their content. That helps with SEO as well because you really want to make sure you're answering those specific questions that people are asking. Otherwise, you're just going to fall into the sea of blog posts about the symptoms of anxiety. We have to get very
Yeah.
specific where if we're talking about anxiety for teens who are applying to college, stuff like that, it helps to really to niche down and focus on those specific demographics or situations, scenarios that you help people with.
Yes. I think we're so afraid of turning some people away. And what we end up doing is attracting no one because, like you just
Yeah.
said, you're in a sea of all of these other people that are trying to write about it. And it's
Yeah.
not just educated therapists writing about it. It's the mom that's talking about their own kids. It's 20-year-old that experienced it as a child that's writing about it. There's
Yeah.
no credentials that comes with this. So the more you can niche down and be specific and show that you are the expert, because they are,
Yeah.
it's that much easier to attract the right people to you and to stand
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so like I'm curious about like let's get into a little bit of like, marketing for this. Like somebody
Uh-huh.
comes to you, they're burnt out, you're asking them those specific questions like who really lights them up, the people they want to work with and those challenges. And then how do we take it from there to, start creating a product or something that they can then sell while they're sleeping?
Yes. So a lot of times therapists already know the how, right? They've been in the therapy room, they've been breaking it down for their clients. If you're talking about, for example, the best example I can obviously to give is one of personal for me. So I have a daughter that is ADHD that was severely anxious and was depressed in fourth grade. So when I went to find a therapist, I wanted someone that specialized in ADHD, but I
Hmm.
had wished that she had resources for me as the parent. Everything she offered was only one to one with my
Yeah.
daughter. And it was difficult to get into her calendar because she would just fill her calendar with 36 clients in a week, burn out, and you couldn't get back in because she had to take 2 weeks off to get herself back together. So, one of the things that I really try to stress with my clients is figure out what resources you obviously are not, especially if you work with little kids or even teenagers, they're not necessarily going to need to take a course or a workbook or a journal,
Yeah.
but the parents could really use some resources that connects to what you're doing in the therapy room.
Yeah.
If you are working with adults, what are you continually talking about? And
Hmm.
just figuring out what that topic is, the how of breaking it down so that we can then work backwards and create a free opt in or lead magnet, which is to get them onto your list, which
Yeah.
explains the why, uses those keywords of what they're looking for. Why is my daughter continually not able to get out of bed in the morning? It takes 37 tries of trying to get her out of bed. Well, there's a reason for ADHD kids. But so you have to think about like what are they looking for? The psychoeducation terms for
Hmm.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. My wife and I have this conversation all the time. 'Cause my wife is she owns a private practice and a group practice, and they really sort of specialize or focus in on relationships, couples therapy. primarily.
Mhm.
And so we have those conversations like, what are the things that you're talking about all the time? It's just like, I'm always teaching them about boundaries in relationships, like these things that sometimes seem so simple, especially to the therapist, because it just you're talking about it all the time, but you could so easily package that. And I love like what you said about it being sort of a supplemental resource that goes along with the work that they're doing, because then you're in, maybe like for my wife as an example, she's in these sessions with these couples. Well, if they're already understanding the terms and the lingo about boundaries, and they're kind of seeing like, oh, this is the framework of how we're supposed to operate together in a healthy relationship, then you can kind of focus in on, very specific, nuanced stuff rather than talking about like the foundational stuff. And yeah, I think that leads to a better service and likely, hopefully, better results in the therapy room.
Yes, absolutely. And then that gives you an opportunity to, instead of having to see 36 clients in a week, maybe you only have to see 20, because you're going to
Yeah.
continually still see them most likely, but they have a resource in the median. Or if you have a wait list for people trying to get into you, but because you're already full, start them there.
Yeah.
Or make it a prerequisite, optional, but a
Yeah.
prerequisite before they get into the therapy room with you, so that they can see the framework and understand what they're going to be learning and then apply it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this. There's so many like creative ways that we could, kind of work
Yes.
this. And I hope that, for folks who are listening, that this kind of sparks some ideas, to get started and think about ways that you can do this. And it's very in line with just kind of like what I have kind of taught for a while about, blogging, is that your your website and the content you put out is a resource that goes along with the work that you do, whether that is for current clients or potential clients. They have a
Mhm.
place that they can go connect with you and learn a little bit more about your expertise. And that really just, I think it builds a lot of trust, and creates a great experience for them, and yeah, can help build that audience. So I love it. It's
Yes.
making me excited for my own stuff too.
No, it's totally in line. It's exactly what I teach people, because yes, I teach them you got to have this lead magnet, but then it's also the idea of you have to have the content, and you can't simply put the content on social media. People are
Yeah.
not going to find it there. You have to have that one platform where it's going to be found. It's searchable by Google. It's your website. And you can start from video like YouTube, or even say audio podcast, but those should be repurposed into a blog post,
Hmm.
which is exactly what you do. So it fits
Yeah.
perfectly.
Yeah. And I see too, just things that I've learned, in my own journey, is like finding those platforms and those places that you love. Like for me, Facebook just kind of drains me a lot. Most of social media does. So we still have to use it just to get some visibility. But like for me, like I love this format right here where we're on the podcast and get to have conversations. And then that gives us content that we can repurpose on the website and focus there. So I think too,
Yes.
like just kind of back to that, initial part of our conversation about burnout, is it can seem really overwhelming to then start to build these things. But I
Mhm.
think if you start with, again, just being intentional with like what brings you joy, what brings you energy, and start small, you can really, build great things.
Yes. Because that authority that you bring to the table, it makes it that much easier to be able to stand out when you're talking about things that you love.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm curious, like, tell me some, maybe like examples of some things that maybe some of your clients and people that you coach and teach, what have they built? And that I think that will also help kind of spark some inspiration for folks listening.
Yes. So I have a therapist that has works with couples, but primarily those in their 50s that are trying to improve their relationship. More towards the bedroom side of things is what she deals with. But she has created anything from, she has a workbook that they can do side by side. She has also created a course that walks them through different aspects, and it all comes back to boundaries, which is why I smirked when you said that,
Yeah.
because it absolutely does. And then she also offers group intensives. That's one of the great ways for therapists. Like, you don't necessarily have to create a digital course or a digital workbook. It
Yeah.
could just be taking a the education that you're doing and do a group intensive with
Mhm.
some of those that are already in your practice because they need specifics on something in particular.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's just a multitude. We've had those that have actually created physical products that have created a journal for parents that are in the new stages of the babyhood because they just got
Mhm.
pregnant. And it helps them not only with registering and doing all the things for baby, but also all the questions and the conversations that you have to have with your partner before baby comes. So it's
That's
just,
great.
there's so many different things that can be done.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. And then it's like I'm a creative person, so like I love this like sort of thinking in a different way of something creative that you can
Huh?
do that really, serves your clients, shows your care for them, and also at the same time, added benefit, showcases your expertise and your trust, and that I think really helps you kind of build a business that you love. So I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Well, are there any other things that folks need to know, Jenny, when we're talking about shifting from just going after more clients, burning out to doing more work that you love, really focused in on who you love working with?
Yeah, so I would say we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier is that idea of growing your email list. A
Yeah.
lot of therapists will have intake forms when they first come into their therapy room. And that obviously needs to be a little bit separate because of just the terms and things necessary. But you want to be able to provide them with something in exchange for their email, like a guide that's going to explain
Hmm.
the why of why it's important that they get this figured out. Why do they need to understand that boundaries are an important part of the relationship? Or why do they need to have those first conversations as new parents about how they're going to do certain things?
Yeah.
And that guide is what grows that email list so that you can continually stay in front of them.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest mistakes I see therapists make is that they assume I'm in front of people if I post on Instagram once a day,
Hmm.
7 days a week. What you have to understand is any social media platform is rented property.
Hmm.
You do not own it. It can get taken away. It can be hit by an algorithm. And it's very difficult to stand out on those platforms.
Yeah.
When you have an email list that you actually own, they've raised their hand and said, "Hey, I'm your person. I want to know
Right.
more about what you do." So it's
Hmm.
an opportunity to build that relationship with them through an email list.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And that's been around for a while, but I do not see a lot of therapists doing that, to be
Yes.
honest. We redesign a lot of websites, and email it's not often a strategy that people I think are utilizing.
No.
I'm happy to hear you say that. That's something too with my wife's practice that they're starting to get into, like starting small, just sending like a monthly newsletter,
Yes.
and basically like give them a tip, give them here's our a focus of our team, meet the team sort of section, so they're seeing faces, who they could be working with, and those people who are maybe on the email list might not be current clients, but they might have downloaded a resource like you're saying, and it might take them, a few months to then finally reach out, but they know who to reach out to because they're on your email list.
Yes. Or they could have been a client and they're waiting in the
Yeah.
wings because
Yeah.
they thought they had everything all fixed and put back into a box. And all
Yeah.
of a sudden, everything's about to explode again. And they're like, oh, I need to go back. It just to stay in the
Yeah.
forefront of their minds.
Yeah.
And then when you do create that group intensive or that journal or the course,
Mhm.
all these people are your people. They've
Right.
already said, I like you. I'm
Yeah.
going to start to trust you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think one thing for my own business, like anytime that we have kind of launched a new course or a new type of service, it's been just absolute gold and like a joy to be able to
Mhm.
reach out to my email list and say, "Hey, we're thinking about building this thing or we're in the process and would love your feedback on it," And so this way you have like real feedback from your real ideal clients, and people are so, not everybody, but most, the people who do reach out, they're excited to help and they're excited to learn, and the things that you're building are likely going to help them anyway, and so I've created some really great relationships with some people in my own audience because they've been helpful to me as I've built courses and things. So it's just another thumbs up for the email list. Is it gives you some real life feedback, market research, that sort of thing, even before you're build these resources or whatever you're doing. Even before you start, you can just have some conversations with people if they're open to it, and find out,
Yes.
how they speak about something you want to build or the challenges they're facing. So it's super, super helpful.
Yes. No, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jenny. This has been a great conversation, and I think that I'm inspired. So I hope that other people get some inspiration from this for things that they can be doing, outside of the one-on-one therapy, and really building a business that they love. So thank you for your time, and why don't you just let us know where can people get in contact with you, and check out your resources as well.
Yes, no, absolutely. If you go to jennymelrose.com, right at the top, we have our strategic growth guide. You'll see it right there offered. This is going to give you 3 steps to be able to figure out what is that niche, who is your audience, how do you start to make sure you're creating the content for them to attract them, and then can be able to offer that service product that they need.
Awesome. And we will put that in the show notes, of course. And so definitely check that out. If you're listening, if this has kind of sparked some inspiration for you, definitely go check that out. And as always, if you're looking for help with your online marketing, with leveling up your website, getting found by your ideal client through SEO or now AIO, definitely check out privatepracticeelevation.com/kickoff, where you can schedule a free clarity call with myself. Would love to hear from you. And thank you so much for listening. Now go elevate your practice. Running a private practice can feel like a juggling act. You're the clinician, the scheduler, the biller, and even the IT department. Xanda makes it all easier. Xanda is practice management software built for health practitioners. It brings scheduling, telehealth, secure client notes, billing, AI, and payments into one easy-to-use system. Clients can book appointments online, receive automated reminders, and access a secure client portal while you manage everything from one dashboard. That means fewer administrative headaches and a smoother experience for everyone. If you're ready to spend less time on admin and more time with clients, visit privatepracticeelevation.com/Xanda to start your free trial. I'd like to thank Alma for sponsoring this episode of the Private Practice Elevation podcast. A year from today, what would your dream private practice look like? Would you spend less time chasing claims, or only working with clients who value your skill set? What if you had a network to reach out to for questions or free continuing education? What if you had more time for yourself? Alma empowers you to confidently accept insurance backed by an all-in-one EHR that simplifies scheduling, documentation, and day-to-day practice operations. With a network of engaged providers and free CE resources, Alma makes it easy for you to build the practice of your dreams on your terms. Alma believes that when therapists get the support they need, mental health care gets better for everyone. Learn more about Alma at helloalma.com/elevation. Your dream practice is closer than you think. Get started now and receive 2 free months at helloalma.com/elevation.